Hello, everybody. This is Jeffrey at Ripe Color with my guest. It's Tarot Tuesdays, and this week my guest is Adam. And tell me the name of tell, tell us the name of your YouTube.
My YouTube channel. Yeah. So first of all, Jeffrey, thanks for having me on. This is going to be a wonderful show. And the name of my YouTube is Adam Stargazing Astrology.
Right.
Yeah, and I specialize in astrology readings of all types.
Right. So somebody can contact you and get their personal chart done. And I think you also do synastry charts, correct?
Yep, I do synastry charts. I do transit charts as well.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. So, so why don't you explain to us, because a lot of people do and don't know about astrology. So explain to us, a synastry chart would be?
So a synastry chart it's the same as a composite chart. So it's your chart and another person's chart combined to make one chart. And then what you see strengths and weaknesses, and the strengths are areas that would be easy. The weaknesses are areas that would need improvement.
Or the challenge.
Yes,
Right.
or challenge. And it's really used, astrology is really used as a tool for self-awareness.
Perfect. And then what would be okay, so my birthday is 1111.
So January 1st, 1911.
Right. Maybe 1811. I look really good for my age.
You look fantastic.
Thank you. So, and then you would compare that to, say, today's date or a date that's coming up. Say you want to get married, or you're starting a business or something like that. And so you would say, okay, well, Mercury used to be here and now Mercury's there, and that means this and that sort of thing.
Yeah. So the chart the chart that would be founded for January 1st, 1911, that would be your natal chart.
Right.
The chart, and that's the chart, your natal chart or your birth chart. That's the astrological chart when you were born. And that stays still. If you wanted to figure out a specific date for an event, you would get what's called a transit chart.
Right.
And those are the planets that are transiting in relation to your natal chart at a specific time.
Correct. Okay. Okay. So you offer all those services, and as well, you're a tarot reader. You've been a tarot reader for a long time.
Yep.
And so, and by the way, everybody, this week's card is, ta-da! You want to hold yours up too? So you see, strength. Oh, you see, your line is going one way and mine's going the other.
Good card for the week.
It is. It is.
Excellent.
And so I saw you on Nancy Jean's Garden, and as I was watching, I was like, oh, he's really warm, and he'll really understand this card. So, and I forget what week it is. Well, it's card 8, so it's week 9. The fool always messes it up. Okay, so welcome everyone. So you're being my guest, Adam. Would you like to please share your experience and maybe your interpretation with card number 8?
Sure. Well, I mean, Jeffrey, it's really so interesting that you contacted me, because I had this card on my altar for close to a week, and it was sitting at the center of my altar. And this card has actually been my mantra, because the last couple years I've been sort of energetically thrown off. And I think we all have, by COVID and just by other circumstances that have been happening in the world. So I feel like pre-COVID, I had this level of fortitude and stability that to me really represents what strength means. I know in like the Native American culture, for example, they what they consider enlightenment is basically like stability. And when I think of strength, I think of stability.
Mhm.
And with that, I see the ability to adapt to circumstances, to be able to more kind of go with the flow, to not get so rattled by things on a day-to-day basis,
Mhm.
to learn to look at your fears in a rational way.
Mhm.
And with all that, to me, comes some sort of perhaps like meditation practice,
Mhm.
or something where you can kind of like quiet your mind. And another strong component of strength is setting limits
Mhm.
for oneself and setting goals for oneself. And then striving to keep those limits that you set. Say, for example, you want to wake up every morning and you want to meditate for like 45 minutes, say. It's striving to keep that continuity
Mhm.
and setting that goal, say, for like a week or
Mhm.
2 weeks, and then just like sticking it out, even though your mind may be going like, no, this is incredibly boring. It's like overriding the nature of impulse,
Mhm.
and and just having that sense of like focus. Another thing that I see with strength as well, I see it's really striving for the to be your own parent. And when I say your own parent, I'm thinking your own mother and your own father,
Mhm.
right? The father gets you out there. The father gets you, um, you know, interacting with people for things like business, right? The father um, provides you with courage. The father provides you with fortitude, right?
Mhm.
The mother provides you to be able to relate with people in in a real way, in a real authentic way, right?
Mhm.
It also provides a little bit of softness, right? Whereas like if the father can be too rigid, and too strict and too structured and unforgiving, the mother energy is like a little more forgiving.
Mhm. Mhm.
So it's really, to me, it's really striving to have the balance between the two, because as you can see, like if we don't set limits for ourselves, no one's gonna do it for us.
Right. Right.
And it's sort of this, and in a way, it's on one level, it can be this scary realization that like, wow, I'm just kind of out in the world, and here it is, and I really have a lot of free will to be able
Mhm.
to go and do this or go do that. And so it's really, I feel like it's really understanding the concept of free will
Mhm. Mhm.
and then not abusing that free will.
Mhm. Yeah, it's interesting that you talked about the fortitude and the courage and all that, because those are like the traditional understanding and meaning of it. And I think, and you know, I think the fact that Leo has that is fixed. It's that energy of this is my goal, this is what I'm going to do, that nothing's going to get in my way. Because the fixed signs have that energy of that laser focus of that. I made up my mind and get out of my way.
Yeah, fixed. hmm hmm
For me, the strength card is such a fascinating card. Well, first of all, it's really pretty, right?
hmm
And
hmm
it being, Leo. So for me, this is my understanding of it. This is so like the lion is us as humans, right? Us in this physical world, and being sometimes being really strong and really like rah, 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 and then sometimes being really lazy, because lions like to lay around all day. And so this, for me, like this energy is really the divine feminine, and it's the eternal divine feminine who has this energy of comfort, of love, of acceptance, of nurturing. And she comes in and basically says to the lion, whether he's lazy or whether he's being aggressive or whatever, I love you. And I love you all the way through. I always love you and I will always love you. And for me, so her energy is like she's almost like a combination of the mother and the father. She has this loving energy, but she's guiding the lion, you know, because he's willingly opening his mouth and his tail's between his legs. So he is tamed, and it's only I feel like it's her like love and guidance that comes through to enable the lion to use his power in a productive, useful way. Like that's what I get from the strength card. And the other thing I get is because it's Leo and it's loyal and it's leadership and, you know, a lot of L's. Like a true leader will allow himself to be led, will allow himself to like have his mind changed, you know, because I feel like the energy here is for the lion's greatest good. And like a true leader will allow themselves to say, you know what, this wasn't really my plan. This isn't really what I had in mind. But if it's really for the greatest good, then okay, I won't roar between 2 and 3. But at 3 o'clock, you better watch out.
Right, right.
So that's where I feel it is. And he's strong enough to know and has enough courage and enough self-understanding to know that sometimes he needs to be tamed and sometimes he needs to be directed and sometimes, so it really is a lot of ways sort of the same energy you're talking about, the mother father. But in it like you know, it's like we're both making tuna fish salad, but you chop the onion first and I chop the onion afterwards or something like that, you know. Right. And for those of you who don't like tuna with onion, you know, you're missing something really great. But celery is okay too.
It's good with onion though, huh?
Oh my God. Tuna with onion and vinegar and mayonnaise. Oh my God, it's like heaven
Delicious.
on
Gotta try that.
earth. It's really good, especially if you use like either the sweet white onion, you know, like the Vidalia, or the Bermuda onion. You need a sweet onion.
Okay.
With red wine vinegar because it sets it
Okay.
off. And you get a recipe on top of everything. You get a recipe on top of everything. So, and the other thing I sometimes get with this, I mean, also it's a card of summer because it's really like summer. It's yellow and it's, you know, Leo time and it's summer. And there's an optimism here, you know, because yellow and it's like, go forward. And I always feel like whenever there's yellow in the card, there's like this real element of spirit coming through. Right? There's a real element of spirit with yellow, because yellow is that color that it's not blue, so it's not cool. It's not red, so it's not hot. It's really like the bringer together of the energies, and it's neither nor. You go either way, right? You know, because blue and green, and you know, those are always generally cool, and then reds and oranges are always generally warm. But this is sort of like, no, I can go either way. You know, I go with everything. And, you know, very much the card of Leo. And so sometimes I really interpret this as loyalty. Sometimes I really interpret this as the heart, like the heart of the matter, the heart of the person who's, you know, asking the question. Of course, it depends on the other cards that come around with it. So it's a really, really fascinating card. And for me, it's one of the great benefics in the deck. For me, it's one of the great benefics. It's like, it's really up there. And in my opinion, it's like the Empress, strength, the star, you know, the sun. Probably, maybe those might be the 4, you know, like kind of cards in my interpretation. And so do you work with numbers as well in the tarot?
Yeah, and I wanted to mention that too, the number, it's the number 8,
Mhm.
which is very much, I correspond that very much to transformation.
Interesting. Great.
Number 8, because I relate it to the astrological sign of Scorpio. So
One of
what
my favorite signs.
Scorpio? And why would that be? I have 2 planets, and I have Mars and Jupiter in Scorpio.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I have 2 pretty strong planets there, and then you have, what's that sun?
I have
Mercury.
Sun, Neptune, Mercury, Sirius conjunct in Scorpio.
Okay, wow.
Mm.
I think I have Juno
I
and Sirius in Scorpio.
I think I have I think my Juno's in Scorpio too. I think. I can't remember. I can't
Mhm.
remember.
And
What's the one? What's the question mark one? That's not Juno. That's Pallas Athena, isn't it?
yeah, that's Pallas.
Yeah, that's in Scorpio. I think Juno is actually in Libra,
Okay.
but the very end of Libra. It's like almost Scorpio. I think. I'm pretty sure. I
Uh-huh.
can't remember everything.
And then those are in your second house? The second house?
Yeah, my second house is loaded.
Wow.
Yeah.
I would call it the second house. I would say there's a component with strength to the second house as far as the groundedness and stability.
Mhm.
I really associate that. But what's kind of neat about this card as well is there's the figure 8,
Right.
on top of her head,
Right.
So it's obviously, it's very much this divine. Yeah, it's like the divine feminine coming down to tame like the masculine.
Right. And the only other card that shows up in is the Magician, which is another fantastic card.
Mhm.
This eternal, this sense of eternity, the sense of forever, the sense of cycle, the sense of things continually changing, cycle constantly moving, and the eternity of that, right? So it's interesting because, like, when the Magician comes through, the Magician for me is like the card of being born, because to me the Fool is unborn. The Fool is like the soul before it's incarnated, and then the Magician is the one who comes in
Uh-huh.
as incarnate.
Mhm.
And I feel like the Magician also has this energy. The Magician is very verbal, so the Magician is the energy of, saying out loud, "I am that I am. I am, strong. I am whatever." Don't ever use negative words with that, kids. And it's very, the Magician has a real masculine energy. I mean, he's sort of like in between, but it's like it's kind of masculine. And then this comes through, even though Leo, it's like allowing the softness, allowing the like the rays of the sun, allowing that there's something new here. There's something. It's like the Magician knows he has the power and he understands he can manifest, right? And here it's like, but I have to use my power wisely. I have to use it in a directed way. And so it's really interesting as it relates to the Magician, because that's the only other time that this symbol, aside from that two, the Two of Pentacles, which is a little like a oddball card that kind of floats around. I always feel like he'll manage to keep them up though. Like no matter what he has to do, like he's the guy that, even though they've never played volleyball before, and it's like the last goal, he's the one who'll dive in the sand and it's like, I'm going to get it. He's that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's juggling,
Yeah,
but
he's a juggler. He's a professional.
but he keeps afloat.
Always. I always get that from him. I never get like, oh, it doesn't look so good. It's like, it's a little stormy, but you'll be all right. Hang in there. For me, the 8 also, there's in the number 8, there's awareness. There's awareness, and that I think really relates to what I just said. It's like because, you've gone through the magician and the high priestess and the, blah, 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 and you've already gone through like the chariot, you're moving, and it's like, okay, well now, like, I got the car running and stuff, and there's gas. It's like, now I have to like direct this. There's this energy of like, and sometimes, to do things that we don't want to do, or that are challenging, or that are frightening, or whatever, it's kind of like, I got to summon it up. I got to summon it up, got to get it together. It's sort of like, well, I'm really nervous about this job. It's just like, put the outfit on and just show up. Just show up. Just show up, and do your hair.
Mm-hmm.
Leo, do your hair.
Mm-hmm.
For some of us, it's easier to do our hair than others. I would love to do cornrows,
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yes, I really want to do. I saw this guy at some store here, young guy. He was with his wife or his girlfriend or whatever. They were really young, in their early 20s, I'd say. And he's wearing this really cool shirt. I don't know, he had it like together. And then he had his hair like parted on the side, very traditionally, but then they were cornrowed, and then he had some of them going back. It was like, that is so cool, bro. That is so cool. But I'm gonna have to get a hot glue gun.
Oh yeah, to get those corn. Well, you would, yeah, or just a really nice wig,
Yeah. It's a little warm here for a week, though.
Yeah.
It's a little warm here for a wig.
Or you can just paint, become this incredible artist and paint people, with cornrows.
It's not the same as having it yourself, because then I get to go like this all the time. Yeah. And then like somebody says something that's a little bit off, and then you go and that's my idea of like a good conversation,
Sorry.
Yeah. Oh.
Oops.
I used to know a woman who had cornrows. This is a long time ago, like in the 70s. And she was actually married to one of the big disco superstars. Anyway, she used to have a little bell on the end of one, and she would go like this and go ding, 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 ding. And it was like, oh my God, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. It'd be like, and she'd make a point and go ding.
You
know what I mean?
Looking good.
So not only are we giving you, interpretation of the card, we're giving you recipes and fashion advice.
You should get those cornrows. If you were ever gonna see, I was gonna do, well, I don't know, maybe I should do something. My hair's a little short now.
Yeah, mine too.
Yeah. So that'll have to be for some of the audience then.
Yes. Okay, so is there anything else that you want to add or tell us about, like maybe you like an experience that you had in a reading, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, there's also a strong component of, even though this is not the temperance card, there's a strong component of temperance that comes with strength.
Right.
Because if you look at the, she's taming. She's taming the passions.
Right.
She's taming the rage. She's this guiding, soothing force. So what I see is like strength and like soothing abilities. We think of the classical strength as this strong masculine, I'm gonna go out there, I'm gonna conquer. That component, that archetypal component is always gonna be there. But this just brings a whole new quality of temperance and the ability to soothe.
Yeah.
Finding strength in those components.
Yeah. Yeah, lovely. Lovely. Yeah, and it's interesting because temperance is Sag, and Sag relates to Leo. Sagittarius really relates to Leo.
The fire.
Yeah, the passion, the instinct. And also it could also really be a card of health. It could also really be a card of health, and really understanding that, managing that, right? Managing that, because, our health is not just in the doctor's hands. It's really in our hands. It's in God's hands. It's in and maybe a medical professional hands, et cetera, et cetera. So there's an energy there of that, I should be a poet. Yeah, it's a lovely card. It's a real benefic card. And, it's a card that really, it could really give direction to a reading, really give direction and healing to a conglomeration of cards, let's say.
Yes, most definitely. Yeah, it's a wonderful card. I mean, it's a great like mantra. I had it, up on my altar just as an image just to focus on.
So do you do that with other cards as well?
I do. I've been doing it with the strength card the most. I've done it with like the chariot card when I've needed movement, when I felt stagnant. I've done it with like the lovers card, mostly when I was trying to like integrate like a stronger sense of self-love. Yeah, I will frequently put cards up on my altar, and then meditate and then concentrate on those cards and the energy that the card gives. Sure.
Good. So this has been such a fantastic collaboration, because it's like, I think we both had this really interesting look at much deeper levels of, well, be strong, dude.
And we see a lot of times that actually that energy is really there because it's covering up a lot of stuff,
right?
That like overly strong. A lot of times those guys that I see, at least around here, that are driving those huge trucks with the big wheels and have the American flags flying, those are actually the most fearful.
We don't see those people in Mexico.
Thank God. Thank God. We have, I don't have a ton, we don't have a ton of those around here because I'm on the California coast. But when we do, you always know that those people are the most scared inside. Because another thing about strength, is having that just inner sense of self. And when you have a good sense of self, you're not needing to overcompensate to the world. Right.
Yeah. And to me also, this strength card, a lot of times I read it as the heart. I really read it as, the center, Leo rules the heart. The heart is the center of the whole being. And, and sometimes to be really loving takes all the heart you have. Right. And that is real strength. It's like, oh no, I'm actually, even though, we don't see eye to eye, or even though you've been this or that, it's like, I'm going to love you anyway. And believe me, it takes it really takes everything you got. Some days are easier than others, depending on whether you've had tuna fish and whether your hair is cornrowed.
Yeah, it's actually really interesting you say that, because there seems to be a fair amount of incidences, not a ton, but where I'll meet someone and we'll have a great connection, whether it be online or in person. I'll send them a text message saying, I'm so glad to meet you. When are you free to hang out again? And I'll never hear back.
Yeah.
So it's that happens actually like more than you would think. And it's, whether that be like something I may want to try to pursue romantically, or whether it just be like a friendship. There's kind of a level in that it kind of hurts a little bit. But I've gained what that's taught me, it's to gain sort of inner stability and trust that it's not something that I did,
Right.
But the universe is just saying, like, it's a non-worker, and that it worked out like that because it's not going to end up working.
Yeah. I always, when I've been there, and for me, my little mantra with that is, Rejection is God's protection. Rejection is God's protection.
Yeah.
And it could even be
yeah.
like, let's say, a job or like an apartment or something you want, and then you did everything, you put all your paper together, you showed up, and it's like, yeah, I really want it. And then and you think, oh, gee, it went really well, and then it's like, what the? And then I have to really get that I'm being led, I'm protected, my guiding angels are taking care of it. It's like, okay, thank you, thank you. And even though it's like, yeah, but that's what I really wanted. It's like, well, maybe sometimes what I want is not necessarily the best thing for me. Like, I want to eat the whole cake, but that might not necessarily be the best thing for me, and what's happened a lot actually in Mexico is for me, it's like the people that I do reach out to reach out back. And it's like, this is really nice. This is really unusual, because I really get, I think also, a lot of times people they don't know how to make connections, or they're frightened, or whatever it is. It could be a million, the list could be a million things long. And so when it does happen, I'm almost surprised. Like, I have this new friend here who's like really, really on it, and like texting me all the time and meets me all the time. And I'm like, wow.
Wow.
I know. And it's sort of like, and it's not a sexual thing. So it's sort of like, oh, I guess you really like me. Because I really like him. And it's like, oh, wow, this is really nice. This is really nice. So maybe you can come down to Mexico and make some friends like I did. But if I'm your Spanish tutor, you're going to be in big, big trouble.
Oh, because you don't know Spanish?
I know, I do. And I practice every day. But sometimes you're in the middle of a sentence, and it's like the most basic word. You don't, and it's like, well, I'm forming the sentence. I'm so proud of myself on the middle of it. And then it's like, I don't know the word for like next or almost, or, like a basic small. And it's like, oh, I can't finish my sentence. I have to say this in a different way. But, it's a process. It's a process, and I'm getting better at it. And overall, in terms of language, honestly, Spanish is fairly easy. It really is. I mean, every single letter is in the word. So if somebody says something to you, it's like, okay, I think I can figure out how to spell that, because there's nothing missing. There's none of this, like, the H is silent in the beginning of a word. But aside from that, it's not like KNOUGH, which is like, what kind of sound does that make? It's none of that. It's none of that, right? Sometimes the words are really long, but it's like, yeah, well, I can distinguish pretty much all the letters there. So like, if I write it out, and then I could use my brain and say, well, that looks like this word in English, so it must mean sort of the same thing, approximately, So that helps. That helps. And people are really very patient. And if they see that you're trying to learn, and I keep on asking guys, is that the correct way to say it? What's a better way to say that? And they'll tell me, and they appreciate that. They appreciate that. So, and I'm willing to not be perfect. And not know what I'm doing. I'm willing. So all the time I'm like, so I went to the fruit place like last week, and I'm asking her. I said, bueno, ahora es una clase de español. What's the name of this fruit? What's the name of this fruit? What's the name of this fruit? And I start writing it down. Because there's so much. You don't realize how much you know a language. Even if you don't speak your own language really well, you probably know 2,500, 3,000 words. And like little words that we, take for granted, like fabric or collar or buttonhole or, it's like, yeah, well, that's what it is. It's like
Mhm,
a whole new world. So,
mhm,
I'm in a learning process and I'm calling on my strength and I'm calling on the divine feminine to help me and guide me and
mm.
tame my impatience, because I can sort of be the king of impatience sometimes.
Oh, okay. You're like, no.
And it moves so much slower here that,
Oh, okay.
yeah. And, for Mexicans, Mexico City is like, oh my God, it's so fast. It's too much. And it's like, you have no idea.
Oh, interesting. Well,
Yeah.
especially you coming from New York, that's like the
I ordered the
insanity.
coffee. Where is it? I ordered the coffee. Where is it? What are you doing
Yeah.
back there? And they'll be, so like they'll start making the coffee and then they'll take another order and then they'll
Uh-huh.
go look for the computer. It's like, I just need a cup of coffee. It's been 15 minutes.
That's insanity.
Have to just like breathe and say, I ordered my coffee. I know it's coming.
Insanity. Like you can wait the 5 minutes, like the world's not gonna end.
Yeah,
So
but everything is like that.
yeah. So
Everything.
basically what, another component of this strength, would be patience.
I think I'm gonna delete that part of the video. I'm definitely deleting that part of the video. In my Scorpion Leo moon way.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
in my Virgo, I'm gonna put it in order way.
You're oh yes, you're Virgo, right? You're 12th house Virgo. So do with that 12th house Virgo, are you really interested in like visiting? Did you visit all the churches and the spiritual life there?
Well,
Was there
I visited churches is just so weird to me.
uh-huh.
Um, I'm Jewish, so it's like doesn't really
Okay.
call me. But
Uh-huh.
I have visited every single pyramid that's in the city.
Oh wow, there are
There are
pyramids there.
many of them. Oh yeah,
Incredible.
yeah,
Incredible.
yeah. And I went to the Basilica of Guadalupe. Actually, my first day and my first time in Mexico City, I went to the Basilica of Guadalupe, which is built on a church, on a temple, on a mount that was holy to the fertility goddess. Convenient.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
well, almost all churches are built on that.
Uh-huh.
Um, because there's energy. Uh, so I've gone there, but there are many other pyramids within the city limits.
Wow.
I went to one down in the south called Quilco. I know I say that 3
Mhm.
times fast. And it dates back to maybe even earlier than Teotihuacan, which is the really big one right outside of Mexico City, the Pyramid of the Sun. And that one kind of ruled everything. They kind of set the standard for all the rest of the civilizations. And they were trading from Arizona to like Costa Rica. And they had like a real hold over everyone, but like a psychological hold, really interesting. Anyway, this Cuicuilco was probably predated it, but was destroyed by a volcano like 3,000 years ago.
Whoa.
Yeah, and it's round. It's not like a pyramid like that. It's actually like you know like this, and then another one built on top, and then another. Yeah, yeah. So I've
Incredible.
been there. Incredible. Yeah, it's really there. There are moments where I can really feel how ancient and how holy and how grounded in the earth this place is.
Mhm.
This is
Mhm.
grounding in the earth here that I never really experienced anywhere in the States.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because Mexico, like Mesoamerica, which is like a big part of Central America. They call it Mesoamerica. Um, is really the Mesopotamia of the Americas. It's really where it all stemmed out of. So it's really, really old wisdom, and it's, yeah, yeah. And I actually, one time I had a Maya, one of the trips that I made here, I had a Maya shaman do my astrology, right? But the Mayan astrology, oh my God, oh my
Oh,
God.
Mayan astrology is really.
He blew me away to such an extent. I met him in this one neighborhood, and he just started like reading me. I was like, oh my God. And I remember I had to go back to where I was staying. And I could have taken a bus or a train, but I was in such a state of shock. I was so blown away. It's almost like your first day in therapy and they get you completely. And it's like, oh my God. And I remember walking home in like this daze. Like, how did he know that? It was really, really powerful. And the way they read is it's according to the pregnancy. So they read the day that you're born, it relates to the 9-month gestation period, because the 260-day gestation period. And he told me about the pregnancy and what went on during the pregnancy in the life of my mother that affected me today. It was like, oh my God. It was like, it was so mind-blowing.
It was a
So
whole new.
mind-blowing. A whole new level. Yeah, a whole new level. And it was really incredibly accurate in a lot of ways. Yeah.
That is incredible. That is so incredible.
Yeah, yeah, and he dressed the part the whole thing. It was kind of bad. I was supposed to meet him at this one coffee shop, and I'm sitting there, and he's late because it's Mexico. Everybody's late. And
Everyone's
right, and I'm eating my pie or whatever, and I'm there for like 15 minutes, and I'm kind of getting a little bit impatient. Let's say
and
I was getting maybe a little bit more than impatient.
You're like,
And
where is
then,
he?
and then I realized it's like, you're in the wrong coffee shop, Jeffrey. It was
You
the
were
one next door. It was the one next door. There were two next to each other.
Oh God. That
Anyway, I
sounds like
go to
something
that
I
one
would
and he
do.
still wasn't there. So I had another piece of pie or another cake or something chocolate. And
so by this time your blood sugar's all up from
by
all the
that
cake.
time, you get to a point where it's like it's taken so long, you've got to let go. Like there's no, it's like you can like raise your blood pressure and it's like, to what end?
You're like, he's coming or not.
And I because I was an Airbnb host, I used to get like discounts, like travel discounts. So this was like, it was like $150 American, which in Mexico is like $600 or something. And but I think I got $100 discount, so it ended up costing me 20 or 30 bucks. But when he showed up, it was so worth it. It was like, like he just continually, it just like one shock after another. I had no breath yet. And I'm telling you, I walked home in such a state of like, and then I felt truly Mayan.
That's incredible.
It was incredible.
Incredible. And you found this guy how?
Airbnb experience.
Wow. So the Airbnb, they have it tied to like astrology readings and.
Well, they have, so, you rent an apartment, either you're there or you're not there. Like this place that I'm renting is my own apartment that I'm renting at Airbnb. But then you can also do Airbnb experiences. I mean, I'm not trying to do an advertisement for them because honestly, I try to give some and they weren't that. But anyway, so like there's one guy that I know that I meet at these meetups, which is like an English-Spanish exchange. So Mexicans show up to practice English and people show up to practice Spanish. So he has a taco tour. So he takes you like 3 or 4 or 5 different taco trucks in a certain neighborhood. And he's like, this is the brain and this is the tongue and whatever.
Wow.
They eat
Wow.
everything. And he's like, well, this guy really makes good taco. He's a native, so he knows who makes good taco, and he takes them there. And then, you can have somebody who takes you to museum. You can have somebody who, they do a lot of these Instagram. Oh, I know the best place to take the most fabulous photos, that. Or they'll have a cooking class or, all different sorts of things. Yeah, it's interesting.
Very cool.
Yeah. Yeah, but read the reviews, kids. Don't just, you don't want to be the first way, unless your gut really says to do it. It's like, you read the reviews and then you're like, oh, they were really good. It was really informative, or, it was just okay. But, if it's $10 and it was just okay and it's a place you want to go, then you should do it. So, use your discernment.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Use your discernment.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Have you ever done any of that Maya stuff or no?
So I know a little bit about Mayan astrology. I know I'm a yellow electric star. That's
I
all.
never knew there was color attached to it.
Oh wait, no, that was my wait, did you have your Mayan or your Aztec? Your Mayan?
Maya.
Yeah, I was maybe that's not Mayan. I'd have to check.
The
It's been a while.
the Mayan signs, there are 20 of them.
Yeah.
So, most of them are animals. It's like it's a bat or a jaguar or a rabbit, et cetera, et cetera. I am Flint. I am the obsidian. So it talks about my cutting right to the truth, like a surgeon, very
Mhm.
surgical, and like almost like the King of Swords would be, like that energy of like, I tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. It doesn't matter where the cards fall or lie.
Mhm.
That's really how I am. It's really how I
Mhm.
am. And and some people like me for it, and some people really don't like me for it. And for me, it's like, doesn't really matter. I'm doing what I have to do. So it was very much about that. It was very much about being the surgeon, about seeing the truth, about there was an element of sort of magic, prophecy, because it's the obsidian. The obsidian is the volcanic glass that they used to use, and they traded. It's sharper than steel. It could butcher things. It could be used in war, but it's also a really valuable, thing, because you could butcher animals with it. You could cut, trees down with it, because it's like super duper sharp, and it comes up
Mhm.
to earth, and there's this reflective quality to it. So there's this sort of like mystical weirdness to it. They use it
Hmm.
for mirrors. So it was very much that. It was very much
Mhm.
that. Like I was like the truth teller.
Hmm.
The truth teller, and fall where that may. Yeah. Which is really very much it's really on the money.
Mhm. The truth teller.
Yeah.
So some people would maybe a little like
Oh, I don't
threatened
want
by
to hear that. It's like, well, it doesn't really matter whether you want to hear it or not. It's the truth.
okay. And they're like, ooh.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, you're a good read on the truth telling.
Yeah, it was that energy. And then the second element was water. And water has this energy of being able to push through anything. Like if there's a rock in the way, it'll go around the rock, or it'll just eat through the rock. Like once the water starts, there's no stopping it. There's no stopping it, like a flood.
Mm-hmm.
Mm, like this elemental, yeah, it was really like, really, it blew my, I mean, he talks about the pregnant. It's like,
Incredible. Incredible.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. All right. Blessings to you. Thank you so much. Now, if I can figure, I have to get my glasses because I'm a little bit, and I'm getting a million messages. I'm gonna just stop the recording and then we'll continue to chit chat. And thank
Sure.
you all for blessing us with your presence. Thank you, Adam, for honoring me with your presence. And you should definitely call him or email him, Adam, him, for a astrological consultation. Okay, now I'm going to do pause stop and then we'll continue to chitter chatter. Hang on.
Awesome.
Thank you all for joining us. Please like, subscribe, share, comment, press the bell for notifications. Please follow Adam on his YouTube channel, and we'll see you all soon.